Guns and explosives and cryptic threats on a tip line became the focus during this day 2 of the Kaufman County District Attorney murder trial. Prosecutors tried to prove Eric Williams tried to get rid of parts of the gun used to murder DA Mike McClellan and his wife Cynthia. Williams is also charged with murdering prosecutor Mark Hassey. Fox 4's Richard Ray is at the Rockwall County Courthouse with more on today's testimony. Rich.
Good evening, Heather. Much of today's testimony concerned a high-powered rifle like the one that prosecutors say Eric Williams used in 2 of the killings, and evidence that he plotted somehow to cover his tracks by disposing of part of that rifle.
Richard, you can push those buttons to lock it in.
An ATF agent demonstrated the 2 parts of an AR-15 rifle, the lower and the upper. The upper, the part that would contain ballistic evidence.
That is everything that would touch that bullet right there. There is no distinguishing marks I can trace to it around an ammunition with this.
Important because prosecutors are convinced that Eric Williams used an AR-15 in the assassination-like killings of Kaufman County DA Mike McClellan and his wife Cynthia. Scott Hunt, a firearm expert, testified about Williams asking him to lunch in January 2013, shortly before the killings began.
He responded on a couple of occasions that he was at the end of his rope.
Scott says Williams quizzed him about AR-15 uppers.
If I remember correctly, he said, if I had an upper, could you, if I gave it to you, would you just never make sure it never sees the light of day? Something to that effect.
Make it disappear.
Make it disappear.
Hunt and Williams were in the Texas State Guard together, but not, Hunt said, friends. And after the lunch, he immediately reported the conversation to a superior in the Guard. AR-15 rifle parts were found in Williams' storage unit after the killings, but no uppers.
The W tells me that it is a web tip.
Kaufman County's chief deputy testified about an email exchange on Crime Stoppers tip line that began the day the McClellans' bodies were found. He read portions of it.
Yes, sir. Do we have your full attention now?
The tipster asked for contact with Kaufman County's judge.
Your act of good faith will result in no other attacks this week. We are not unreasonable, but we will not be stopped.
Prosecutors say a Crime Stoppers tip code was found during a search of Williams' home that proves Williams sent the emails, in effect, confessions that he thought he could get away with and remain anonymous. Again today, prosecutors did virtually all the questioning, all the talking. The defense team offered an occasional objection, Heather, but no cross-examination to speak of.
All right, so Rich, I'm curious about Eric Williams and his reaction. Any sort of change in his demeanor from yesterday to today?
You know, I think we did see a change. We're going to show you some video from yesterday, particularly during the opening argument. He shakes his head, he seems to be smiling. You might sense that that's a little bit of a smirk. He did that a couple of times yesterday. Today, none of that. We didn't see him do anything but take notes and be very stoic. And I'm sure his demeanor is important to the defense team. And again, the defense team may be saving what they have to try to save his life, assuming that he does get convicted by what the prosecution is calling a mountain of evidence.
Sure. All right, everybody's watching. Stay tuned for day 3 tomorrow. Richard Ray, thank you.